Hello and welcome to Happy Hour. My name is Phil, and today's guest is an American stand-up comedian and traveler of the world. You may know him from headlining comedy clubs all over the world, having opened for big musical acts like Dolly Parton, George Jones, and Johnny Mathis, from touring with legendary Joan Rivers, or from his insanely viral online videos, who currently have over 200 million views. To put that in context, 200 million is the entire population of Brazil. Welcome to the show, Brad Upton.
Yay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
What's going on with you, buddy?
You did your homework. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I all of a sudden, you know how travel plans are. I'm in Seattle, and it appears that it's going to start snowing this afternoon.
You guys
And
get
I have
snow?
Huh?
You guys get snow over there?
A little bit on occasion, and when we do, it f's up the whole world. And because we have one snowplow for a city of 3 million people, so if we get 1 inch of snow, the whole world comes to an end. So I have a 5 a.m. flight tomorrow. So I'm like, if I have to get out of my neighborhood at 3 a.m. and there's an inch of snow, I'm in trouble. So I'm
Yeah,
going out to the airport this evening, and when I hang up, when we finish this up, I'm going to head out to the airport. I'm going to stay in a cheap hotel across from the airport tonight, so I can make sure I get on the flight in the morning. So anyway, that's what I was doing.
that's
Why I was a few
that's a
minutes late.
really smart decision. As a Canadian, I can expertly tell you that this is a good plan.
I did it about 10 years ago one time. Big snowstorm was coming in. I went, I'm going out. I'm staying by the airport, and it was the right call. I would have never made it if I hadn't have gone out there the night before.
Yeah, and so are you starting your tour?
Oh, I never end. So
It's just tour to tour.
it literally never ends. So I'm flying just to Oklahoma City tomorrow from Seattle, and I'm doing 2 shows tomorrow. I fly home Sunday.
Nice. So you're all over the place, because I looked at
Yep.
you're actually going from like coast to coast, right?
Oh yeah, jumping all over the place. I have a cruise in January. I'm flying all the way to Uruguay, and then I'm getting on the ship and I'm going Uruguay, Argentina, and then coming back. That's in January.
Wow, that'll be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Uruguay was a very sad day for Uruguay today. I don't know if you followed in World Cup.
Oh, they get beat.
They got eliminated by I guess by South Korea, but it was a heartbreaker. A lot of players crying. Is a tough one.
Were they crying or just pretending to cry?
Pretending to cry, right?
Because that's
Great
all I
actors
see
there.
when I see men's soccer is all these. The flopping is so bad. They're way worse than the women are. Way worse.
Oh my God, the women would never do that.
No, of course not. They're way
So,
tougher.
so let's maybe flip over to a sport where you're a bit more familiar. So as a Seattle resident, you got to explain to me how you guys traded your best player in Russell Wilson, and all of a sudden you're doing better than you did with
Yeah,
Russell?
how'd that work out? Pretty well, huh?
What's going on there?
I don't know. I guess maybe Pete Carroll saw this coming. Is all I can guess. Maybe they saw it coming. Maybe they said, you know what? We've looked at the data. I don't know. Last year, when our quarterback he played the 3 games that Russell Wilson, Geno Smith played, and he played pretty well. I mean, he played pretty well. He put up some nice numbers, and he's been in the league 10 years. And God, all
He's
of
a
a sudden,
career backup.
yeah. So here we are. We're in the playoff hunt.
That's beautiful. So I guess, have you had a chance to see the new sports team that's joined Seattle, the Seattle Kraken? And
Oh
why
yeah,
do they have the best fan base name, the Crackheads?
it is. Oh, the crackheads. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Have you had a chance to go see a game?
No, it's so expensive. It's
Really?
cheaper to fly. It's cheaper to fly to Phoenix, Arizona, and get a hotel room and go watch the game in Phoenix than it is to go to Seattle and watch it here.
That's crazy. Is it
Yeah,
just
I mean,
because?
it's every game is sold out, and then everybody's flipping all their tickets on secondary sites. So it's like $400 for a single seat for a crappy game. I'm not doing that.
That's too much. I mean, they're
Yeah,
doing well this year, which I
yeah, they're
listen.
doing
I'm
great,
happy that they're doing good, but it's just
and
like
the
that. 400
facility's
bucks.
beautiful. And I want to go see it, but I'm not paying $800 for 2 tickets to go sit up in the nosebleed section.
No,
I'm just
no,
not
no.
doing it.
No, come to Canada, right? Might be cheaper with the
We
exchange.
got we got the Everett Silver Tips in the WHL is closer to my house than Seattle is, so I can go watch WHL game if I want to go watch hockey.
Yeah, it's true. Seattle's almost like you guys are almost Canadian, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's talk a bit more. Let's get into your comedy career. So in 1986, you transitioned from being a school teacher. You're teaching grade 4, right, to
That's
becoming a
right.
stand-up comic.
Yeah, and people always go, that must have been a big change going from teaching fourth grade to stand up comedy. I said, entertaining a room full of drunks and entertain a bunch of 10-year-olds. It's not a big career change.
I guess if you, yeah, it's true. It's kind of
It's
similar. It's an audience.
it's the exact same skill set too.
Wow.
As
It's
far as standing up in front of the classroom trying to keep everybody's attention. It's
the,
the same thing. And you got hecklers and you got people not paying attention and you got some people that are focused. It's the same thing. It's really the same thing.
yeah, that's true. It's I never thought of it like that. But for you, was stand-up comedy something that you always wanted to get into? Like as a kid, were you, maybe that heckler, that class clown, or was it something that was a calling later on in life?
No, I wanted to do it at a young age. I loved stand-ups when I was a kid. I was drawn to them. I really liked watching stand-ups. But you're living in Richland, Washington in the 70s. There's no career path. There's nothing that makes you think you can do that. There's just
Yeah.
I was drawn to it. And then as I got older in the early 80s, and then comedy started to boom and I thought, man, and something told me I could do it. I don't know why I thought I could do it. I just thought I could. And I tried it and it went well. So I've been after it ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
What did the parents say when you said, "Listen, I'm leaving my teaching career to do stand-up comedy"?
My dad was all for it. My mom was against it. My mom said, oh, you got all these benefits and working for the school district's a great job. You got insurance. And she tried to discourage it. But my dad was like, do it, whatever. So and when I quit, I always had the option of going back. I tried to take a year's leave of absence from the school district and they wouldn't grant it to me. So I said, well, then I quit. So I quit, but I knew they'd hire me back if I wanted to go back. I could do that. So
Yeah,
it wasn't that big a deal. I thought I'll try this for a year and see how it goes. And this is 36 years later, so never went back.
that's awesome. So I guess how were those first few years on stage? I know a lot of comedians, they talk about those first few years being very difficult, transformative. Any bombing stories?
Oh yeah, I've had those before. People always ask, what's the worst gig you ever had? And I told people it was High River, Alberta. That was I was. Do you know where that is?
Is High River? I know High Level.
No, that's way up north. High River is south of Calgary, and
Okay.
and Yuck Yucks had a one nighter there, and they booked us into this one nighter in High River, Alberta, and drive out to this dinky ass town that has comedy on Wednesday nights or whatever. And we walk in, and it's the local bar. They're doing comedy on Wednesday nights or whatever, and it's a sports bar with pool tables and shit like that. And then on every single screen in the place is the Flames game is on. So there was also a new owner, a new Indian guy that had purchased the sports bar. So already the locals were pissed off that their bar had been sold to an Indian guy, right? And
Yeah.
then so comedy's starting at 8 o'clock. Well, the Flames game is on, and he goes around and he turns off all the TVs, and they're just going nuts. Like, turn on the TV, the Flames are playing. So they're all yelling at him, and he goes on stage and they're yelling at him to turn on the TV because they want to watch the hockey game. And he just starts yelling back. He goes, shut up, shut up. We're doing comedy. Comedy starts at 8. We're doing comedy. And they're all yelling at him. And his introduction to me, he goes, the first guy's an American. And he just hands me the mic. And I'm like, oh, shit. So that was the intro. The audience just was livid that I was on stage. They wanted the TVs back on. They were pissed off. Half of them left and went into the back room. And then I was standing. The stage was a picnic table with a piece of plywood on top of it. And I remember looking up at the spotlight, and the spotlight was a headlight inside a Folgers coffee can.
Oh.
So that's
That's
how
that's
that's
the
how
best.
when you start though, when you start comedy and you're out and you're brand new, you do those gigs and they either make you better or they make you quit. So
Oof,
you
yeah,
gotta you
the
hold
best
on
and
and
brightest
ride,
from
man.
Canada, eh?
Yeah. I worked a bunch of when I first started, I worked a bunch for yucks in the western provinces, all over the place, everywhere. And those
Yeah,
some of those bars and stuff are kind of rough, and you're also a new comic and you don't have all the ammunition in your belt yet, so you're trying to do the best you can, but I survived them all.
that's awesome. So in 2017, after 32 years in stand-up, one of your specials on Dry Bar Comedy went viral. So how did that moment change your life?
It was shocking to me. I had no idea. I recorded that thing in 2017. It actually went nuts in 2018. And they released it in 2017 and it got 40, 50, 60,000 views and I thought, "Well, that's quite a few. 50, 60,000 views.
Yeah,
That's pretty good." And then about a year later, Dry Bar started releasing, and the ones that they first released were about a minute 10 long. And then a year later, Dry Bar started releasing 3 or 4 minute sets, and they were doing better, and they were getting a million. Certain guys were getting a million views and stuff. And I thought, man, I think mine's better than that one. So I emailed the guy back and I said, "Hey, could you put one of mine up?" He goes, "That's a good idea. You guys that went first, we didn't know what we were doing. We found out the longer sets do better." He said,
mm,
I'll put another one up of yours." I said, "Okay." That was about 6 days later. He posted that thing about the millennials, and it was about 4.5, 5 minutes long, and it got 12 million views in 48 hours.
that's
And
insane.
I mean, I was trending on Twitter. My CD went to number one on iTunes.
What's a CD?
CD,
I'm fucking with you.
yeah. Um, I forgot I had it on iTunes. To be honest with you, I forgot it was on there. It had been on there so long. I was like, "Oh yeah, that thing." I forgot. Anyway,
Wow, that's
I was
insane.
shocked. Yep.
Just signing babies and
And then it had 33 million views in 10 days, and it's still there. It's almost 90 million now.
that's
But it
insane.
changed. I mean, all of a sudden, everybody was aware of me, and we dropped another one within a week, and that one went nearly as good as the first one did. So I had two videos out there. I want to say I did 33 million views in 10 days or something like that. So all of a sudden, there were all these people that were aware of me, and no one more surprised than me. I'm like, I've been doing that bit for like 10 years.
Yeah, it's
And
it's crazy how the internet works. Sometimes it just works, or
exactly.
the it just some you get traction and off you go, right? So
And
that's awesome for you.
it's like a real virus. I mean, that's how it spreads, and people start sharing it and it goes crazy.
Yeah. So it took 32 years for that big moment to happen, and I know you talked about crazy moments or gigs like in High River in Alberta. Were there moments along the way that you wanted to quit? You're just like, screw, I'm done with comedy.
No, not really. I never felt like quitting. I've always, and I told you about having that bad gig of bombing there, but
Yeah,
I did never had a series of really awful gigs where it was ugly for a long time. Um, so I've always enjoyed doing it. I've never thought about quitting. I've thought about cutting back the last couple of years, and I think it's so funny. I kind of blew up in the internet when I quit Karen. So I'm like, oh, maybe that's the secret.
I
Don't
think
give a
it
shit
is.
anymore. Yeah,
Right? It's yeah, you might as well not, right?
but I've made a nice living, and I've worked all over the country. I've worked all over the world. I mean, up until the last couple of years, nobody knew who I was. So I've done very well. So I have no regrets that way whatsoever.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories dealing with crazy hecklers?
Not too much. You know what? I'll tell you what about talking about teaching school. When you teach school, I learned this right away when I first got on stage and started having a heckler. I was like, this is just like an obnoxious 10-year-old. It really is. And they teach you that when you're in college and you're learning to be a teacher. They tell you a kid that's messing up, a kid that's sitting there just tapping his pencil on the desk. He wants your attention, right? Whether it's negative or positive, he's just trying to fuck with you, right? So the best way to respond to that as a teacher is don't reward the behavior. Don't acknowledge the behavior. Don't give him the satisfaction that
Mm.
you even hear him tapping the pencil on the desk, because he'll quit. He'll quit. It won't get the response. So that's how you deal with that as a teacher. So when I started doing comedy right away, I went, oh, these guys are just like obnoxious 10-year-olds. They just want attention. And I wouldn't give it to them. I ignored them, acted like it wasn't there, pretended it wasn't happening. And if you've ever been in a crowd, have you ever said anything to somebody where everybody heard you say it, but the person you said it to didn't even respond to you? You feel like an asshole. You know what I mean? You're like,
Exactly. You're not acknowledged. You're like, do I exist?
right. So that's the best. That's how I've always dealt with hecklers for the most part, is absolutely ignore them. Like it's not there. I didn't hear it, didn't see it. And then sometimes they won't shut up. And you realize, is this person drunk and being an asshole? Or is this person drunk and having fun and don't realize they're being an asshole? You know what I mean? And you learn how to deal with it either way.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, they're the ones who make the viral videos of hecklers.
Oh, I hate those,
And
because now it's like
they
people
get the
think
validation that way.
I'm going to go in and heckle and get on a video. It's like, oh, those are bad. Don't do that. Yeah,
Like they
I'm not a fan.
they get roasted like crazy. I don't understand why you'd want to do that, but anyways.
Exactly.
So who I guess who are some of the people that you're watching in comedy these days, people that you're a fan of?
Well, I like Brian Reagan and Jim Gaffigan. Those are easy calls. They're great. I really like those guys. There's a lot of good comedians, that people don't know about. It's like musicians and singers. There's some musicians and singers you go, why isn't this person famous? I don't know. Didn't get a break. There's a lot of guys like that in comedy too, that are really good comics. You just don't know about them. I don't want to name them because I'll forget somebody. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of really. If I list about 6 or 8 people that I really like, I'll forget about 6 or 8 people, and then I feel like a dick. So, but there's a lot of good comics out there.
Yeah. So you're now a regular guest at the infamous Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. What was your first? Sorry, go ahead.
It's not infamous.
It's pretty famous.
Yeah.
So what was your first performance like there? Were you pretty nervous?
Kind of, and I don't really get nervous anymore. I really don't. But I was kind of nervous that night. I was surprised actually, because it's iconic. It's absolutely an iconic stage. And in fact, I got that gig because the lady saw my Millennials tape. That's how I got the gig. Because I had emailed her about a year beforehand and she didn't respond to it. And then I emailed her about a year later and I said, hey, I had this video. It has 70 million views. And she wrote back and she goes, well, I'm one of those 70 million. We'd love to have you. So I was like, bang. That's awesome. So anyway, the Grand Ole Opry is amazing. I mean, the night I debuted, it holds 4,400 people, and they're really close to the stage. It's 2 tiers, and they're close. I mean, 4,400 people, but they're close to the stage. And they say when they introduce you, they go, he's doing something here tonight you only get to do once in your career. He's making his debut at the Grand Ole Opry. Well, the audience really feels like they're seeing something special, right? So they're on your side. And I
walked like they're introducing you like, so our next guy is an American.
Right, exactly. Much better introduction. much more well received. So I went out and I did 12 minutes, I think, and it just killed it. And I walked off stage and I told my wife, I said, I think that's the best set I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
And so I've been going back ever since. Now when I'm there or routing through Nashville or going through there and have a night where it makes sense, they put me up whenever I want to go up there. So it's a thrill. It's a thrill and an honor to walk out and stand in that circle, because they don't use a lot of comedians. They only use a handful of comedians. So I'm very lucky to be one of the guys.
No, that's so awesome. Like,
yeah,
I mean, there's only one Grand Ole Opry, right? It's legendary.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen the show, but there's a show called Tales from the Tour Bus. So it's Mike Judge's show on HBO.
Oh no, but I'll bet it's great if Mike Judge is involved.
Yeah. So it's basically like a bunch of country artists in the first season, and it's just like these crazy stories about like Waylon Jennings and like George Jones, and I know that is it you open for George Jones?
Yeah, I opened for George Jones one time.
So
Yeah.
do you have any crazy stories, tales from the tour
Not
bus?
about him. He just literally pulled up. He literally pulled up. The bus was sitting outside the door from where you walk on stage. His band came on. They started playing like two songs. Then he walks through the door, walks on stage, does his show, says goodnight, walks off the stage, walks out the door, and gets right on the bus. Doesn't talk to anybody, didn't meet anybody, didn't shake anybody's hand, didn't take any pictures, nothing.
I mean, the crowd was probably lucky that he even showed up, right? Because his
Yeah, they
nickname
were
is No
when I
Show
was on
Jones.
stage, they were yelling at me, "Where's George? We want to see George." I go, "He's here. You're lucky. He's here."
Exactly right. Yeah, he's I mean he's one of the legends too, right? So,
You're right.
but yeah,
What's
so
that show called? Tales
it's
from the
Tales
Tour
from
Bus?
the Tour Bus.
And it's on what?
It's on HBO, I believe.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up.
It's actually, so it's a cartoon. So there's people talking about the stories that happen,
Oh, cool.
roadies, other bandmates.
Right.
In George Jones's case, I guess his ex-spouse, because I think he tried to kill her.
Yeah. Could have been.
Uh, and yeah, so it's insane, but it's just crazy stories, right? From people who do a lot of drugs and
Yeah. I'm gonna have to check it out.
yeah. So you've also toured with Johnny Mathis for over a decade, and with Joan Rivers. Are there any crazy stories from there?
Joan was as sweet as could be. I did about 20 shows with her. I did a couple short tours with her. She was just as kind and sweet and such a great comic. Oh man, she'd come out on stage 70 minutes, just bang, 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 bang. Her foot was on the gas the entire time. She would just destroy. And she would go out before it was in her rider, she'd have a pint of vodka in her dressing room. And right before she walked out, she'd pour one shot and then hit that thing once, take one shot of vodka and walk out on stage.
That's
She was
awesome.
great. She was as nice as could be and a great comic. And Johnny Mathis, I've been working with for 15 years. I've probably done in 15 years, I don't know, I've probably done 200 shows with Johnny. And he's 87 years old. He is the kindest human being in the world. He can still sing. It's unbelievable how good he can still sing.
So how did you guys get linked up? Was it because of your shared love of track and field, or?
It could have been. I don't know. Actually, there was an agent there was the guy I replaced, his agent that got him that gig. I kept telling her, hey, if they ever need somebody to fill in, let me know. Cause I was a fan of Johnny Mathis. I like Johnny Mathis. So
Hmm,
they were actually looking to replace him. And, they tried me one night and I've been with him ever since.
nice. You ever race Johnny?
No, no, no.
Because I knew
I
he
have a
was like
cool
a.
picture though. He was a hurdler and so was I. I have a cool
Oh,
picture of us side by side. We're not racing each other, but it's both of us going over the top of a hurdle.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Who's someone that you've met, I guess, along the way that made you feel starstruck?
Uh,
Somebody that you're like, holy shit, I can't believe that blank is there.
um, Carrot Top? No. No. I don't know if there's anybody in show business. I'm probably more in awe of some athletes than
Sure, I mean,
anybody in
athletes
show
are cool
business.
too.
Um, but they're just people. You know what I mean? And as soon as you treat them that way and ball bust them a little bit, all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, I like this guy." So um, I don't know if there's anybody. I'll tell you what. Just a couple years ago, I was doing a show with Johnny Mathis, I found out afterwards that Willie Mays was dead center about 3 rows back, and I was like, "Oh my God, Willie Mays is there!" I would have crapped myself if Willie Mays.
If you'd
I
known about it before.
Yeah, and at a show a few years ago too, Gail Sayers came backstage after a show when I was working with Johnny Mathis. He he's a Hall of Fame running back for the Chicago Bears. So I met Gail Sayers, and that was cool. And he was God. I was like, he's not very big. He's about 5'10" and about 160 pounds. I was like, wow, this guy was awesome back in the day, but he wasn't very big. I was surprised.
Yeah, I mean, they must feed them a lot more during the season, right?
Yeah, I guess. Back then, he was just a fast guy. He was just one of those fast guys, though, back when he was playing.
That's I mean that's pretty cool, right? Because now you're
Yeah,
this
Hall of
big
Famers.
famous guy. Now people are coming to see Brad.
Right, exactly. Well, see Johnny, and then they end up seeing me. But then they want to come talk to me after the show. That's pretty cool.
Hey, that means you did a good job, right?
Yeah.
So I know you've traveled the world, performing on cruises. Where did you? I guess how did you get involved in cruises, and which regions did you end up doing?
Oh, I worked all over the world. I got Holland America is based in Seattle, and the lady that books the comedians for Holland America obviously lives here in Seattle. So I'd been emailing her trying to get dates, and she was wanted a 30-minute tape back when you sent tapes in, and I didn't have one, but I was opening for Rita Rudner here at the Paramount in Seattle, and I emailed her and invited her to the show, and so I went and did this show. I opened for Rita Rudner in the Paramount Theater, 2,500 people. It was sold out. I killed for a half hour. And the lady said, I'll give you dates. So I got dates on Holland America. And that's how I got in with the cruise stuff. But I worked for them. Well, that was 1999. So I have an agent now that handles my cruises. And I don't do a lot of them. I'm only doing 4 of them in 2023. But they're nice. They take you all over the world. I've been all over the world on the cruise ships. I did tell you I did learn a thing traveling around the world though. You know how you see people in the airport drinking at like 7 in the morning, and you're like, what are they? Why is why are they drinking at 7 in the morning? And then I realized once I started traveling around the world, and this is because I did it. One time I got off a cruise ship in Vietnam at in the morning, and then I caught an afternoon flight from Vietnam. This is how dumb the cruise lines are too. I flew from Seattle to Vancouver to Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, across the Pacific Ocean, right? And I spent 10 days on this cruise ship, and then I got off the ship in Ho Chi Minh City, and instead of flying me back across the Pacific Ocean, they flew me the other way around Earth.
Oh,
So I flew from Vietnam to Bangkok to Frankfurt, Germany, and then to Seattle. I flew 3/4 of the way around the world just to get home. I'm like, you guys, did you look at a globe before you booked this? Look,
they're like
Seattle's right
we're
across the
looking for
ocean,
the
right there,
cheapest
right there,
flight
right there,
available.
Seattle, right there. They sent me all the way around. But anyway, you get off the ship at 8 in the morning, and then they take you to the airport, and you fly out about noon to Bangkok, and then you lay over in Bangkok, and then you fly all the way to Frankfurt, and then for you it's 10 o'clock at night. Well, I'm in Frankfurt at 7 in the morning, right? So I'm like, all I want
Mm.
to do now is get a couple of beers because it feels like it's 10 o'clock at night. So I'm in the bar drinking at 7 in the morning because I still have to fly from Germany all the way back to Seattle. All I want to do is get a couple of beers in me for my next leg so that I can fall asleep, right? So
And I mean,
I
if
was
you're in
sitting in the
Germany, you
airport
might as well.
at Frankfurt at 7 in the morning drinking, and I went, oh, now I know why guys are drinking in the airport because it's nighttime for them, right? So I quit judging people when I walk past them in the airport and I see them drinking. I'm like, oh, maybe they've been flying all day or all night, and now it's nighttime for them, and they just want to have a couple of drinks.
So did I guess going on those cruises, is that what introduced you to international travel, or is that something that you already did in the past, and just because that was kind of your passion, or something that you like to do, that cruises became something that you were interested in?
That's a good question. I went to Europe twice when I was 21, 22 years old. I went over there when I was an athlete in college, and I competed in track and field over in Europe a couple of
Nice.
times. And so I got to get on a bus with a bunch of other athletes, and we went around Europe and ran in track meets for 3 or 4 weeks. I did it 2 summers in a row, and I loved that. I loved going over there and just seeing different cultures and different countries and hearing different languages and handling different money, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, there's a whole nother world out here, and I really loved that experience. And so once I got to travel again, it wasn't as intimidating. And I really like the fact, when my kids were little, I took them on some trips, international trips, on cruises and stuff. And both my kids now are in their 20s, and they both made international trips themselves. They're not afraid to go to the airport and fly somewhere. And I really I'm really happy that they're adventurous like that and not afraid of the world. I mean, there's a lot of people that are afraid to go to the airport. It's unbelievable. They're like, oh, it's so scary. I don't like the airport. I don't like, they're just afraid to go anywhere.
Well, I mean, with the TSA you guys have, it is a bit more daunting, but
Yeah. But once you get past them, there's nothing wrong with going places. People are
no,
afraid of stuff that they don't know.
it's a fear of the unknown a little bit, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Right. So I guess along your travels, are there some places that maybe were your favorites, least favorites?
I went to a couple. There's been a lot of places that I went to that I wouldn't necessarily have ever gone to, but that I've gone to, and I went, oh, I'd like to go back there again.
Mm.
Um, a lot on the Baltics, Tallinn, Estonia, I thought was fantastic place to visit. I that would never have been on my list. Gdansk, Poland, I went to. I went, I want to come back here sometime. I went to
Yeah.
Indonesia and loved Indonesia. I would come back here. I went down through Peru and Chile and just about 3 years ago. I went, I'd love to come back here too. So there's all kinds of places. Vietnam, Hong Kong, those are all places I've been to that I'd love to go back to.
Yeah.
I went to China. I was like, meh, I don't need to. Meh. That wouldn't be
Pass.
my first place to go back to. But that's the other thing about seeing certain places. There are places that you're like, oh, I definitely want to go back here. Some places you're like, maybe, but it's not going to be high on my list.
Yeah. So other than China, are there some other places that you didn't like? Or maybe that you
Um,
wouldn't be back. You're like, I've kind of done that. You get the T-shirt. I'm done.
trying to think. No, nothing that really left a sour taste in my mouth. I know there's places I'd go back to that my wife wouldn't go back to. She's already told me that. She hasn't been there. She's just like, I'm not interested. Some of the Central American countries, she's
Mm.
not thrilled about going to see necessarily. I got to
Which
sail up and down the Amazon River. That was cool on a cruise
out of
ship.
where?
It was just I got on the ship. I got on the ship in Barbados, and then that's the thing about these cruises. You join the cruise in the middle of the cruise, and you don't necessarily have if it's a 14 or a 21-day cruise or a 60-day cruise. You're only on there a week, right, as an entertainer. So you join the cruise in some port in the middle, and then stay on it for a week. But 2 years in a row, I took it was the Princeton Dam. It's Holland America's smallest ship. It was about 4 days all the way up the Amazon River to Manaus, Brazil, and then
Nice.
flew home from Manaus. And then the following year, I actually joined the ship in Manaus and sailed down the river. And
Wow.
that was cool. I mean, it was cool.
So was it rain season or dry season when you were there?
I think it was dry season, but it was God. The river's just. I mean, it's the Amazon. There's times when you're in the middle of
It's
the river and you're like, this thing's massive.
it's insane, huh?
Yeah,
Like
and it's
I
hot,
was
hot, hot, and humid, and but you stop in a couple of little villages along the way and go explore a little bit. It was cool.
yeah, I was just there actually in beginning of September, end of September and beginning of October.
Yeah, where at in Brazil?
No, so actually I did it through Peru.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, and
nice.
it
Well,
was crazy.
yeah, it was fantastic. The river, the wet season, the whole interior Brazil turns into a big flood.
But the water rises like 15 meters.
Right, exactly.
You're walking on land for a while, and you go up this big hill, and then like where we were staying, it was like all on stilts, and we're like, why is it on stilts? And they're like, well, it's because the water gets up to there, and we're like,
Wow.
what do you mean, man? Like it's crazy phenomenon.
Yeah. Well, all of Brazil drains, but it's just so flat. It just drains so slowly. So, yeah, it'd be cool to see.
Did you get to see any like cool animals, stuff like that in the Amazon?
Some what do you call those? Sloths. Saw some sloths. Those are
Nice.
cool. Yeah, I guess everybody sees those. They're so slow. It's not like they're running away from you. Say, hey, there's a sloth. You can walk up and touch it if you want to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's still pretty cool to see though, right? They're
Sloth,
weird
yeah. Where
looking,
am I
right?
ever going to see a sloth? Yeah.
Yeah. Any other crazy travel stories from your either from your cruise stuff or personal stuff? Because this is
Yeah,
a
I'll tell
crazy
you one.
travel
You'll like.
podcast, crazy story podcast.
I Several years ago, I was working in Hong Kong, and I had dinner at a nice restaurant, but when I was eating the chicken, I went, "Oh, this chicken, it's not cooked enough."
Still moving.
And I had a couple of bites. I went, I didn't finish it. It wasn't cooked enough, and I felt fine. I was fine. And then the next night we went from Hong Kong. We went over to Macau, and I did a show in Macau at the MGM in Macau. And that night, oh man, all of a sudden my stomach started going. You know how it goes, bleep, bleep, bleep. Like, oh shit. So my stomach started. I was like, oh god, oh, and I started to feel hot, and nothing happened. Nothing happened in my bowels. So, but my gut was starting to hurt, and that was the next night. And then the next morning, I was going from Macau back to Hong Kong on this ferry, and then I was catching the light rail to the Hong Kong airport, and then I was flying from Hong Kong to Tokyo back to Seattle. That was my next day. So as I'm coming off the ferry from Macau, which is mainland China, back into Hong Kong, they got all these heat sensors. They're looking for fever, right? So this was 10 years ago. They're looking for fever. So as I'm approaching, all these people are walking, and there's all these guys. There's these cameras set up, and they're all watching their laptops, and they're looking to see if anybody comes through hot, right? So I knew I was hot. I knew I had a fever. I was like, oh shit, they're going to catch me because I could feel this. And I walked right up, and this guy, he looked right at me, and I'm telling you, white privilege, maybe because I'm a Westerner, he let me go. He looked right at me, made eye contact, and I looked at
You're
him.
like sweating.
And and I'm like, oh fuck. And he didn't say nothing to me. And I think maybe because I was Westerner, it's maybe why he let me go. I don't know. And anyway, I went. I know he knows I'm hot. I have a fever. And so when I got to I got to the airport, and I bought every kind of stomach thing I could and then I started to shit. Right. So I flew from Hong Kong to Tokyo, and then from Tokyo to Seattle, which is about 12 hours. I had salmonella poisoning. So so I had salmonella poisoning, and I probably in that 12-hour flight, I bet I shit 20 times.
Did you have the
It
middle
was
seat?
Oh, I had an aisle not far, but it was
Okay,
those
thankfully.
big, the gigantic jets that fly across the ocean, right? There's two rows,
Yeah.
two aisles. So I would get out of my seat, I'd go shit, and then I'd walk up to the front, shit again, walk down the other aisle, back down to the set, I'd shit again, and I'd walk back. I was just doing laps, taking shits. And I know it was at night, so most of the people were sleeping. But the crew, and they were looking at me like, "Oh, that poor bastard."
Just throw a
Oh,
fucking seatbelt on the shitter, eh?
oh god, it was awful, man. I lost. I want to say I lost 12 pounds in about 2.5 days. But yeah, shitting your way across the Pacific Ocean is not the way to fly.
Right, because you already get dehydrated. That must have been dangerous because you already get dehydrated from flying.
Oh yeah. Oh, there was nothing left. It was miserable. Absolutely miserable. I just I want to get on the ground. I want to go home and either die or somebody shoot me. I'm so sick. And then, after 36 hours, it was all over with. But it just happened to be those 36 hours where I was flying clear across Earth that I was the sickest.
Would you have preferred for the shits to have started while you were on stage in Macau?
Oh God, no.
Could you imagine?
I had to leave stage one time in Portland, Oregon. I had to leave the stage one night in Portland, Oregon.
Really?
Because I thought I was same thing, raw chicken, fucking raw chicken. I ate between shows at a comedy club. I ate a chicken sandwich, and I went, it doesn't look, that doesn't seem like it's cooked well enough.
Medium rare.
Yeah, chicken. You got to cook chicken, man. You can't. Chicken's got to be cooked. So I between shows, same thing. And then I got on stage, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, I was on stage for the second show, and it was like, oh fuck, oh geez, oh my gut was hurting, and I'm like,
Whereas
I'm
it
going to
depends
shit
when
myself.
you need one, right?
I was like, I was going to shit myself on stage. I had my ass clenched up so tight. I thought, and I had to do 45 minutes. I was 20 minutes into this set, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to shit myself in front of all these people. And I said to the MC, I go, DC, are you still in the room? And he goes, yeah, I'm here. I go, can you come up here for a minute? And he came up, and I said to him on the mic, I said, I have food poisoning. I need to go throw up. That's what I said. And
Out of my ass.
yeah, out of my ass. So I walked off stage and ran into the bathroom and just evacuated my bowels. And then spent about 5 or 7 minutes in there, and I went, I think I released the release. I released the valve. I think we got the pressures down, and I came back on. I finished the show.
What a guy. He does his time.
Yeah, I did my time. I came back. The audience was like, what was going on? I told the audience, oh, I got food poisoning. I went in and I threw up. And I didn't, that's what I told them. And they're, oh, you're a trooper. I'm like, yeah, my ass is raw.
That's hilarious. So listen, I've got to get some travel advice from you.
Okay.
I'm going to Vegas on a bachelor party in February. Could you maybe give me some do's and don'ts from Vegas, and maybe some places to do, or maybe places not to, things not to do?
There's no rules in Vegas. There's no do's or don'ts in Vegas.
So just watch The Hangover, and that should be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Okay.
How many guys are going?
We're 8 guys.
Oh yeah, and do you know where you're staying yet?
Nope. We bought our tickets. We got tickets to the hockey game because, of course.
Oh, cool.
David Copperfield, and
right.
we might catch, I think, maybe a college basketball game, or do like shoot some guns or something like that. Something American.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. Canadians gonna come down to America and get some firearms.
Yeah.
Copperfield's Canadian, isn't he?
I'm not sure.
Is he? Yell that in the middle of his show. Ask him.
I'm sure he deals
Canadian?
well with hecklers.
Yeah.
No, he's American. He's from New Jersey.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah, not sure.
I don't know. You'll have fun. You've never been before?
Never been. I to be honest with you, I didn't really want to, like, I've never been attracted to going to Vegas. I'm a big fan of going to places where your money's goes a bit further, have it like
right.
I guess I studied in Germany for a bit, like I spent a lot of time in Europe and going to South America, doing a bit of Eastern Europe where your money does go a lot further, like I'm sure
right.
you know. And those were the places I guess I was more attracted to, because if I'm going on vacation, I like to feel like a millionaire instead of a broke person.
Right, exactly. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Go down the strip if you have. Drive down the strip. That's just driving down the strip is worth of doing that. I wouldn't do it on Friday or Saturday night in an Uber. It's going to cost you a bunch of money. But if you can get a time when you can just drive down the strip, that's pretty cool. Just to have one time look at it.
Yeah.
There's plenty to see and do. You won't get it all. And the hockey game will be fun. You can probably walk from wherever you're staying to the arena.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think their team's doing well this year, and
who are you seeing?
They're playing Calgary.
Oh, all right. You guys can be the loud Canadians in there. Good for you.
There should be a bunch of the sober Canadians with all your watered down beer, right?
Yeah, that's right. You're gonna have to try some hard stuff.
No, we actually our tickets are actually all you can drink and all you can eat.
Oh my God!
On one of the mezzanines. So yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that sounds like that sounds like trouble. All you can drink.
Oh, we've got 2.5 hours to try to make a dent, try to
that'll be
the
fun.
money back.
We'll have a good time.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing that on the internet.
Yeah,
the arrest report.
Yeah, exactly. Brad, do you know any cops in Vegas?
Where in Eastern Europe did you go that you liked?
Listen, I've done a good portion of it. Prague, Budapest. I really like Croatia, Montenegro. Poland was really fun too. Yeah, it depends what you're looking for, right? Like for me, I feel like Croatia was probably one that was the highlight for me, because it felt like Italy light.
Yeah, exactly.
You still get the good wine, you still get the good food. You get it's in the same sea, the Adriatic see
Right.
is what separates the two. And yeah, we spent about so it was actually my mom's 50th birthday in 2016, 2017. So my girlfriend, her mom, and my mom, we actually all went up together, or went over together and spent a month there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it
Yeah, that'd
was
be nice. That's a bet
unreal.
that was a great trip. I've had
I,
that's
I
what's
think
weird about this blowing up on the internet. I got people in Croatia actually telling me, writing to me, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm like, are you ever
when you
coming to
come down,
Croatia? I'm like, yeah, I don't see myself drawing a big audience in Croatia. But that's weird. Yeah, that people all over the world have found me.
is it ever weird for you when you're performing, I guess, on stage, in these places where, English isn't their first, it isn't their first language. Is there ever any issues with kind of understanding jokes?
Sometimes it's most of the time. Like when I perform in Hong Kong, or I mean, it's mostly expats that are, they're excited because there's an English speaking act, so that's why they're at the show. That's Israel. Everybody speaks English in Israel, and there are a lot of
Yeah.
Americans in Israel. Pakistan, I performed in Pakistan, and these people were coming up, and they were mostly professionals that had gone to college in either Great Britain or America, and they got their degree and they went back to Pakistan, right? But during when they were in college, they went and saw stand up and they loved it. So now that there was stand up in Pakistan, they're like, oh my god, this is great. When I went to the University of Virginia, we used to go to the Funny Bone, and I'm like, wow, this is weird. So it's mostly English speaking, but there's times like even when I went to Australia, there's a handful of things in your act is you have to go through your entire single your act before you perform internationally and go, what's this joke about? Because you don't think about it before you go on stage because it works every night. But I did some stuff in the Australia about going to the big box home improvement stores like Home Depot and stuff, and they don't really have it in Australia. So they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's only mildly funny. And I'm like, oh yeah, these people have never had this experience, right? So I was working with Dwight Slade in Pakistan, and it was so funny to watch him because he does this bit about how scary it is to reach down and clean out your garbage disposal, right? So he's got this
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
bit about it, and as he's doing the bit, it's kind of bombing, and he knows why, and I do too, and I'm laughing. Well, nobody in Pakistan has a garbage disposal.
Yeah.
That's not a thing any Pakistan house has. So as he's doing the bit, I'm laughing, and he's just looking at me, and we knew what was going on. It was just bombing because nobody had ever reached into a garbage disposal before, right? So
Did he just stop and say, like, do you guys have garbage disposals here?
he had to finish the bit because it was you can't bail out in the middle of it. So he kind of had to finish it and then make fun of himself at the end of the bit for not reading the room correctly. But
I
those are
mean,
the kind of things you learn about when you're on stage. You're like, oh, they don't have that here at all. There's no equivalent. Even though it's an English speaking country or something, there's just no equivalent. I do a bit about trail mix. You know what trail mix is, right?
yeah,
Yeah, well, they don't have it in Australia, and if they do, it's a
it's
completely
like,
different name. I don't know,
yeah,
but
like
they don't.
Germany, it's like muesli.
Right,
Yeah, so
but
there'd be maybe a different name, but like they probably have it.
yeah, but they don't know what. Yeah, so they don't know it as trail mix because I was doing the joke about it, and it went thud, and I about 3 days in a row, and the other comics said, what that joke about trail mix?" And I told them, they go, "Yeah, we don't really have that here." I'm like, okay, so
So
out it goes.
it's like going abroad to do comedy. You almost have to do a bit of like not necessarily cultural training, but almost do like a proofread of someone who lives there. Be like, hey, do you guys even have
No, that's
this
exactly
or
right. That you have to do that. You have to go through every joke in your head to think, what's this joke about? And will it work or will it transfer? It's a
yeah,
good exercise. It's really good. It makes you examine your own act.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Brad, do you have any tips for anybody who's looking to get into stand up?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, if you want to get into stand up, go to an open mic, don't sign up, just watch it. Just watch the open mic and you'll see some horrific, horrible acts go up and you'll go, "Oh my god, I can't possibly be that bad." So, I mean, a lot of people just don't have the courage. They're afraid to get up. So the first time they go, I did. The first time I went to an open mic, I signed up and I went up. I wish I'd have signed up and watched, and then I would have went, oh, some of these people are horrible. I can't be that bad. It would have given me more confidence.
Mm.
And then you just have to keep getting on stage. You have to keep getting on stage. There's no magic pill to take. It's repetitions.
Nice. So, listen, I've got a question for you. So, we've all seen the videos online of Jimmy Kimmel asking people on the street to point out the U.S. on the map, which most aren't able to do, right? They're pointing in the blue of the map. They have no idea. There seems to be a geography issue with Americans. And I mean, for you as an ex-teacher, maybe you can answer this, but why do Americans suck at geography?
Oh, we suck at more than just geography. We suck at almost everything right now.
You guys are really good at naming. Listen, I watch Jeopardy, and you guys are really good with American presidents.
Right.
You guys
But
can
geography, no, we just think the whole world's the United States, and the whole rest of the planet just revolves around us. That they're so dumb. Americans are so dumb about geography, and they think we're the greatest at everything. That's the other thing. All these people that have never been anywhere think we're the greatest at everything. And then, you've traveled internationally, you go, oh, this place is nice. This is way nicer than at home. Or why don't we have this stuff? Some of the rail systems and things like that. You're like, oh my God, why don't we have this in the United States? We're so far behind. But I don't know what it is about geography and Americans. They're dumb, dumb, dumb. And I was a kid. I loved looking at a map. I still like looking at maps. There's a game I play every day called Worldle. Do you know what it is?
Yeah, of course.
I play that every day. I kick ass on that thing. It shows you a different country, and you just have to guess it by its outline, and then you can tell by the shapes kind of probably where it is. And
okay, hold on. Did you say Wordle?
Not Wordle, Worldle.
Oh no, I don't know this actually.
It
Sorry.
plays off the name of Wordle, but it's WORLDLE.
Wordle,
Worldle, and
wow.
It's a geography game. It's a geography game, and I play it every day, and I do pretty well on it. But so it shows you an outline of a country, and then you got like 5 or 6 guesses, and it'll tell you which way. Like, no, 4,500 kilometers this way, or 10,000 kilometers this way. So you have to guess again, but it gives you the outline.
Is it pretty confusing for you, kilometers?
No, I can do it. 0.6.
I'm messing with you.
No, I just convert it in my head real fast.
Yeah. So I guess you must be pretty good with geography then.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I would say so.
Okay,
you're not pretty rare for an American.
I'm perfect. Well, you know what? Let's test your geography knowledge.
All right.
So we'll make it easy in this, and we'll make it questions about his neighboring country to the north, Canada. Right. So we got 10 questions. Let's see if you get a passing grade. First question. What is the capital of Canada?
Ottawa.
Some people say Toronto, so I mean, I'm glad you got it right.
Right.
What is Canada's smallest province?
PEI?
Yes. Have you been to PEI?
I have been on a cruise ship. What's the main port there? What's the...
It'd probably be Charlottetown.
Yes, I've been to Charlottetown. Yes, I have. Yep.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. Great seafood there, too.
Yep.
What is a loonie?
That is the dollar coin.
That's 3 for 3.
3 for 3.
3 for 3. Brad, you're killing it.
Right.
What is the capital of Saskatchewan? And I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with vagina.
Yeah. Regina. Yeah.
All right. Question number 5. Which Canadian artist sings "My Heart Will Go On"?
Oh, Celine Dion.
You're killing it. You're 5 for 5.
You're gonna throw down some Gordon Lightfoot questions here pretty soon. No,
listen, they're gonna be a bit tougher here. So,
all right,
we're gonna get into maybe a bit more jargon that you'd hear in Canada. All right. That's not stuff that
I watch. Letterkenny. I love Letterkenny.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I love Letterkenny.
Did you watch? What's the new one? There's a new show that came out.
Letterkenny's so Canadian. It makes me laugh hard.
Yeah, but there's a Shorzy. Have you watched Shorzy?
Oh no, is he the hockey guy?
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
they
So
have
it's essentially it's the same guy from Letterkenny, but he's
right?
doing like it's so
It's a
funny. It's
spinoff.
it's 6 episodes. Yeah, it's almost like a spinoff,
Oh,
but
that's
it's
great. He
so
makes me laugh.
I really like Shorzy too. It was
Yeah.
really good. Question number 6. What is a 2-4?
2-4 is what we call a case of beer, right? We
Case of
call it a
beer.
case. You guys call it 12 a case. Is that correct?
12 or 2-4s?
Yeah. Well, we call a case of beer a case of beer, but you call them a 2-4. Yep.
Because they come in 24 beers.
24 beers. That's right.
If someone says that they're going out for a dart, what are they going to do?
Going out for a dart?
Yeah.
God, I don't know that one. I'm guessing play darts, but that's the obvious question or answer.
So first X, we've got so a dart is a cigarette.
Oh man, I should have known that.
In Alberta, you probably heard that and just didn't connect the dots. But that's
I'm not a smoker. I wouldn't have known. Oh well, I was.
what is it? What? Sorry.
I was perfect up until then.
Hey, listen, it's still a passing grade. We're still doing okay.
All right,
What is a double double?
a double double. Is that a
This
hockey
is
phrase?
this is a key one.
Is it hockey?
It isn't hockey. This would be food and drink.
Ooh, double double. It might be that. What do you do when you drop the whiskey into the beer? We call them a boilermaker.
Fuck, I wish. But so a double double is 2 sugars and 2 creams at Tim Hortons.
Oh, something you say at Tim Hortons.
Yes.
I flunked the double double.
Okay, we're still okay here. We're still okay. You're still a passing grade. If someone is a Habs fan, that person is a fan of what Canadian hockey team?
The Canadians, the Montreal Canadiens.
There you go.
The Habitants,
There you go.
right? Habitants.
Les habitants. That's exactly what it's for. Have you been to
Right.
Montreal?
Yeah, only through the airport. That's all. And then I got on a cruise ship. I landed at the airport. They drove me to the cruise ship, so I haven't spent any time there.
It's
But I
a great
did
city.
email the club there recently about getting a date, and it was ignored. Hint, hint.
My cousin owns the Canadians. I'll talk to him.
All right, perfect.
Okay, so last question here is going to be spot which town is not a place in Canada.
Okay.
So the first one is Dildo, Newfoundland. The second one is Saint Louis du Ha-Ha, Quebec. A lot of comedians from there. Third one is Shitterton, Manitoba. And the fourth one is Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Oh boy.
Which one is not a place in Canada?
I like the third one. Was what? What was the third one?
Shitterton, Manitoba.
I think that's a real place. What was the second one? The Ha-Ha one.
Okay, so I'll say them again. So we've got
Okay.
Dildo, Newfoundland. We've got Saint Louis du Ha-Ha, Quebec. We've got Shitterton, Manitoba. And we've got Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
I'm going to say Dildo, Newfoundland.
I'm sorry, but that's an other X.
It's a place?
It's a place. And funny enough, we're gonna mention him again, but actually Jimmy Kimmel went there and actually filmed like a special or not a special, but he like went to the town of Dildo, and yeah.
Wow, which one?
It's a hard place to get to.
Which one was not a town?
So it's Shitterton, Manitoba. So it's Shitterton is a place in England.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Dildo is awesome because they have a dildo brewing company. And their merch is amazing.
Right? I was gonna say their merch. They must be killing it on the merch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But no, listen, 7 out of 10. That's a great score. I just want to let you know, congratulations. You are now an honorary Canadian. You are well traveled, and your new passport is in the mail.
Thank you so much. Hey, you got a second? I'll go grab something. I'm going to show it to you. You ready for?
Sure.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, just check this out. I'm honorary Calgarian from the Stampede.
Oh wow! You never thought that you'd get a cowboy hat from Alberta?
Oh man, it's got it right on there. Calgary Stampede. I was made I don't know what it was, honorary something at the Calgary Stampede.
Hey, listen, Canada loves you. I think you should do a tour through Canada.
I would agree. I love coming up there. I've had a lot of people asking me to come to Canada to perform. I'd love to. That dollar's a little weak.
Well, I mean, for us, you have to think about it. You guys are one of our largest trading partners. So if our dollar is over yours,
right,
that's not beneficial for us.
Right.
Right. So that's one of the reasons why the dollar remains lower. But since you showed me something, I thought that I'd show you something else. So
okay.
Being a Seahawks fan, I think you might enjoy this.
Oh, you got some Seahawk member? Oh, you bastard! You bastard! I thought you were going to hold up a Seahawks thing, and you had to show me that.
The 12th man.
I think you're breaking up. I think you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Listen, I had to do it. You guys are going to make the playoffs, and we're not going to make it this year. You know, you're getting your revenge. The Patriots dynasty's over. So Brad, let's finish this episode here with a top 5. So in happy hours, we finished with the top 5, and in this episode, we're going to do the best time for a beer, or for the younger crowd out there. When does a beer slap the most?
Oh, younger crowd. So yeah, okay. For me, I mean, do I have to? Is it a top 5 or?
So the way it works is that we're gonna go back and forth. So it's like a snake draft. So you pick first, I'll pick second and third, and then you'll pick fourth and fifth.
Okay.
Right. So you just let me know when. Give me your pick for the time in your life where you're like, oh man, a beer is amazing.
For me, it's after I used to run in the summertime. I used to run. I'd be a long distance runner, and I would finish my run, and I would come home after a run. I had nothing for breakfast. I had just run 6-8 miles, and then I'd pour tomato juice, have a red beer, and oh man, after a run, that thing went down nice on a hot summer day.
You're anytime thirsty.
After a hot day, after a hard workout, and just knocking that cold beer, because that after you've worked that hard, and even the alcohol in one beer, it's like, oh, this feels great. You know what I mean?
But you're dehydrated.
One beer, American. You're like, I'm partially buzzed off of one beer, and it couldn't be more pleasant.
That's a really good pick. I didn't have that in my top 5, but I can definitely respect it. Yes, that's really good. My number 1, and I actually have to stay on brand, I think, with this one, but it's going to be an airport beer. We've talked about it. It's fun to drink at the airport, in the morning. It feels a bit naughty to drink beers at 6 in the morning, but you might be on a different time zone, right?
Right, exactly. Nobody has to judge you.
And you know what? You know what's funny is Airport Beers was actually the name that I was going to call the podcast before Two Beers Till Takeoff.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, Airport Beers, yeah, that's genius. That's exactly, it's like a conversation when you're at the airport, you're having a beer, you're waiting for your flight, blah, blah, blah. Somebody else had Airport Beers already. And it wasn't about traveling.
Two Beers Till Takeoff's a good title.
I think it works.
You know what, too? When I fly, I have status on a couple airlines, right? So I can drink for free on some of these. It's like, how do you say no to that? You can't turn that down.
It's tough.
Free beer?
Oh, I mean, yeah. You got to do it. Listen, take advantage of it as much as you can. Number 2 for me, I'm going... I don't know if this is like a blue chip pick, but I'm going shower beer.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever had a shower beer?
Yeah, I have. It's a good call. Especially if you're tired and you're dirty and you're like, oh, you've been out in the yard or cleaning up something. You know what I mean? Tired and dirty and get in the shower.
You just finished cutting the lawn.
Right.
It's the summer. You're sweaty. You're a bit of lawn on all over you, and you're going out that night, and you want to start pre-gaming, and you're so excited that you gotta get at it, in the shower.
You got that little, got the shelf up there so you can set it there. It doesn't get the water in it. Yeah, that's shower beer is good. I've done that myself.
Yeah. So I'm going shower beer. So it's back to you, Brad. What's your number two?
I'll tell you, at a baseball game, the first on a hot day again, first one at a baseball game. I like minor league baseball too, but finding my seat, going down, finding my seat, and then I always walk around the ballpark to see what kind of beers they have. I want good beer. I want local beer. I don't want crappy domestic. And finding that first beer and then sitting down and watching the first pitch with that first beer. That's a good one too.
So are you a big craft beer guy?
Oh yeah, I like craft beers. I try to drink locally wherever I'm at.
And when you're drinking craft beer, are you doing what's your, are you IPA guy? Are you stout?
I don't like IPAs like I used to when they first started. Now they're too hoppy. I don't like them as much as I used to. I like I do like some Hefeweizens. I like those. Some of the Belgian beers? Style whites, those white beers. I like that. Some of the lighter ones I'm actually like.
Nice. Like blonde ales?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll drink sometimes amber. I like an amber too.
Yeah, that's what I'm having here. Hot blonde.
Oh yeah, I would drink that all day long.
It's so good.
I was in St. Louis and I asked the guy at the bartender, I said, I like local beer. Do you got anything local? He goes, Budweiser. I was like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, you got a point.
Never heard of
St. Louis, but I was like, that's not what I was looking for.
So you've got baseball game beer.
Oh yeah. Do I got another pick?
You've got another pick. Snake draft, right?
Yeah, I would say on the back deck. I have a kegerator in my back. I got a kegerator on my. And here, I'll show you my kegerator right now. I'll show you. It's out there on the deck.
Oh yes, sir.
But that place, that's in the summertime. That kegerator in the evening, going out on the deck, pulling that cold one out of there. That's a good one right there.
Absolutely.
I don't know why. What is it about the first one that's so good too? I mean, the second one's good and the third one's good, but the first one, oh man,
it's like the first one after winter.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as intense for you guys, but for us, it's like winter's just so depressing. It's like the lights are off. You finish work, it's dark out already. Like it's not fun.
I don't drink much beer in the wintertime. I don't drink much beer, but boy, summertime, I can put away a lot of it.
That's a really good one. So you actually stole one of mine, baseball game. I was going to put sporting event.
Right.
Because I mean, it's literally juice to make your experience a lot better.
Right.
Right. So I'm going to go the unexpected beer. So what I mean by this is, it's maybe a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night or something. You're not expecting to go out for a beer, but then one of your buddies is in town randomly, and he's like, "Hey, I'm in town. What are you doing tonight?" And you're like,
right.
"Oh, nothing," And he's like, "Hey, let's go to the bar and have a beer." That I absolutely love that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Didn't see it coming. Gonna enjoy it.
And so my number 4. I'm gonna go a beer at the beach or on the pool at the pool.
Oh
so a beach or poolside beer.
Yep.
I mean, it's warm, right? You might get the Corona with the lime out. It's at this point when it's warm and you're by the water. This is your hydration. You're drinking beer.
Yeah, absolutely. And they used to say that didn't hydrate you, and then they've proven that's not true. It does hydrate you.
How do you make beer? It's with water.
It's all water, and you piss so much anyway, so it's got to be able to hydrate you. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, beach beer and a hammock. That would be on my list too.
A what?
A beach beer and a hammock and on the beach and a cold one on the beach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you get that bucket full of ice and several of them, and then
yeah, that's good too.
You're like, I'm going to drink all these. This is going to be a fun afternoon.
Let's see what happens.
Yep.
So what's your number 4?
I was joining you. I was just reminiscing there about the beach beers. Let me think about that. Sporting event. You've had a good list too. Surprise beers. Sometimes it's a free beer after a show. Sometimes people will
Oh,
send me
free
one.
beer. That's good.
I get them sent to me once in a while. Somebody will send me a beer. I'm like, oh, all right, okay. Free beer. Nothing wrong with free beer.
That's a really good one, yeah. And to top it off, your number 5?
Uh the 13th beer at a bachelor party in Vegas. I want you to find out what that's all about. I'm just telling you that.
Looking
13th
forward
one.
to that one.
So I want you to have 13 of them in Vegas, and then tell me how good that was.
Yeah, now looking forward to that research. You know, I'll get back to you on
All
my
right,
findings.
yeah, that's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah. Okay. So my number 5. Listen, there's a lot of good ones here that are still available. I think you gotta like some of the ones that I'm considering here is like a Friday beer after work. You know,
Friday's good. Yep.
First beer after you've been sober for a number of years, that has to be really good too.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's probably good.
Yeah.
Let's go. Your first legal beer.
Oh boy, that's a long time ago. Yeah, I remember that one though.
Yeah, like the you know what I mean? The one where the you go to the bar, you make your order, the server's like, "Hey, can I see your ID?" You show her ID, you're like,
Yes,
"Fuck
I
right, that's
can."
me."
Yeah, exactly.
Makes me feel young again.
Right.
And
That's a good one.
Yeah. So listen, I'm gonna do I guess a recap of what we have. So I have airport beer, shower beer, unexpected beer, beach/poolside beer, and first legal beer. And Brad has first beer after a run, which is killer, baseball game beer, deck beer,
Yeah.
free beer. I mean, who doesn't like free beer?
Yeah.
And the 13th beer at a bachelor party in Vegas, which is very specific.
Yeah.
But so listen, people, it's going to be on our Instagram page. Go ahead and vote on the ones that the collection of beers that you think that are the best.
All right. I'm looking forward to seeing that survey.
Yeah. So listen, Brad, is there? First of all, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. This was a really fun episode. Is there anything, I guess, that you're looking to promote or?
No, just go to my webpage, bradupton.com, and then you'll find my schedule, and you can find out if I'm coming near you and appearing. Just go to bradupton.com.
You're like, I remember, like I've looked at your schedule. It seems like you're doing like a lot of different states. Like
I'm all over the place.
Are you going kind of like in a linear fashion, like from?
I try to, but sometimes you jump back and forth for no apparent reason. But I try to make sense on my routing. I just posted all my dates through May, and all these people are writing to me, "Why aren't you coming? Why aren't you coming? Why aren't you?" I'm like, it's just through May. Be patient. That's only 5 months. Relax. I'll probably come to your place. But or people that go to my website, they go to my website and then email me, because you can go on my website, you can check my schedule, or you can email me, right? So they'll go to my website and then they'll email me and ask me where I'm going to be. I'm like, it's right on my website where I'm going to be, but you went and had to send me a message to ask me where I'm going to be. So that's my fan base. I got some sharp people. I got some sharp people following me.
There's some people that want to see though. They want to see you though. So I mean, that's a positive, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So your Instagram is Brad Upton Comedy, and
that is correct.
Your YouTube is Brad.
I don't
Upton?
have YouTube. I mean, you just put I don't have a YouTube channel. But if you put Brad Upton Comedian in there, it'll take you right to my specials.
Okay, perfect. But anyways, thanks a lot for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
We timed this perfect. My phone's almost dead, so this was perfect.
That's awesome.
Okay, man. Take care.
We'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Two Beers Till Takeoff. Do you want free additional content or just to stay connected with the show? Then give us a follow on our social media platform. That means TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. Are you in need of podcast production services, video editing, or anything in between? Then look no further than Strut Sound Productions, the official producer of the Two Beers Till Takeoff podcast. Music produced by Alex Gagné. Check out his work in our show notes. Voiceover done by Viking Leo K. See you next week on Two Beers Till Takeoff.